executive director, the board chairman, the partners of IR Research Lab, staff, the graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pleasure and satisfaction that I am taking the floor to share some ideas on the importance of innovation in Africa's education and the advantages to policymakers. First of all, allow me to express my gratitude to the management of the African Youth Architect Research Lab for giving me the opportunity to exchange on ways to better education on the continent, our continent Africa, yes. I would also like to congratulate the first batch of the Create and Innovate in SDG 4 program, who will receive their certificates today, and who is indeed committed to foster quality education across the continent. Let me also commend the Pan-African spirit of this worthy initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know what architect stands for. It is someone who designs buildings and most of the time supervises their construction. You know, designing always involves creativity, while supervision entails quality control. The African youth architects do just that for the African youth. They use their creativity to build the African youth by inter alia promoting quality education and entrepreneurship. The African Union Agenda 2063 emphasizes that African sustained growth, competitiveness, and economic transformation requires sustained investment in new technologies and continuous innovations in areas such as agriculture, clean energy, education, and health. With regards to education, several strategies have been developed to ensure quality education for the development of Africa. They include, among others, for instance, you have the first, the Continental Education Strategy for Africa. We used to call it CESA 1625. It is the continent's comprehensive education strategy, which aims to reorient Africa's education and training system to meet the knowledge, competencies, skills, innovation, and creativity required to nurture African core values and promote sustainable development at the national, regional, and continental levels. This strategy is driven by the desire to set up a qualitative system of education and training to provide the African continent with efficient human resources adapted to African core values and therefore capable of achieving the vision and ambitions of AU. We need to invite the audience to familiarize with these strategies. We have another strategy, the second one, which is the Science, Technology, Innovation Strategy for Africa, also called STISA 2024. It articulates, in fact, the need to promote innovation and entrepreneurship development in the continent. Entrepreneurship, as you know, is a key driver to industrialization, particularly in rural areas. Thus, public-private collaboration and industry, for instance, institution partnership should be just facilitated. Lastly, we have got the TVET strategy. And TVET strategy, I may say, the AU is committed to promote the acquisition of knowledge and skills for the world of work through TVET programs and to streamline it to economic development and addressing the gaps in labor skills mismatch. The above three cited strategies are strategic framework in the realization of the African Union visions as articulated in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, which is an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in a global arena. AU Agenda 2063 is Africa's blueprint and master plan for transforming Africa into a global powerhouse of the future. It is mainly based on the development of human resources on the continent. The above mentioned strategies, as I just said, have various things in common. You would have noticed it when I was just talking about these strategies, and innovation is actually at the key center. And their programs should be developed and adapted to continental challenges, in order to find tailored solutions to the problems the continent is facing. Ladies and gentlemen, African policymakers have been very early aware of the benefits of quality education and innovation in African education. That is why, in recognition of the critical role that education plays in the development of the continent, a committee of 10 heads of state championing education, science, and technology has been set up by the AU heads of state and government. And they have the mission to defend and promote the development of education, science, technology, and innovation on the continent. They are responsible to actively engage their peers in their respective region for the promotion of education. And innovating in education, is not only new solutions to tackle current issues. It is also new opportunities, especially for the African youth, whose demographic dividend should be enhanced for the development of our continent. Innovation, of course, also involves a paradigm shift in development approach. Actually, the more people innovate, the more they become empowered and self-dependent. As a matter of consequence, can generate wealth. Nowadays, many young and qualified Africans are facing unemployment. They are blaming the government for not creating jobs. They are right. They are perfectly right. But African youth should also move from job seekers to job creators. And innovation is the way. Yes, you have to create, innovate, and take your destiny in your hands. This way, policymakers will have no choice but to follow the trend and enhance it to better the life of citizens. How many African startups, concepts are now used by governments, public and private sectors, company? We could not count them. So, it is no time to look the other way around. Food for thought. Dear graduates, as quality education champions, you should be ready to innovate in whatever sector of activity you indulge in. This century is the century of innovation, and Africa should not lag behind. As worthy ambassador of the African Youth Architect Research Lab, you are expected to demonstrate passion for creativity and innovation. Understand that also the best is not always found elsewhere, and that we ourselves are the best. Translate knowledge acquired into everyday practice. Express creative and innovative thinking. Adapt to become an agent for the acquisition of new technology. Create new technologies and get acquainted with intellectual property policies to protect your inventions. We strongly count on you. And because we know you have acquired holistic skills that could help to emerge in various sectors of activity. This year, for instance, the African Union theme is building resilience in nutrition on the Africa continent. Accelerate the human capital, social and economic development. I would like to draw your attention on the relevance of agriculture in developing our continent. We can also create innovation through agricultural skills throughout the entire agricultural value chain, from input supply to food productivity, through treatment and processing, marketing and consumption. Innovation in agriculture, in fact, includes, for instance, food production to capture the opportunity of primary care in the garden, needed water, supply, picking, packing, processing, transportation, marketing, energy supply, and cooking. We could take the example, for instance, dear students, from the fragile vegetables in the garden of the small African farmers to the table of the head of state and government. What has been the road covered? How many sectors are involved? That's the question we may ask. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the message I have prepared for you this afternoon. I thank you for your kind attention.